Before we go on to our final topic, which is the lies about the Philippine-China infrastructure loans, Kaado will have a final word on the BBL secession and self-determination. Kaado, go ahead.
Kung gusto po ninyo magkaroon ng kopya nitong sinumite ko sa Senado, please dial 0917-336-4366 or pwede kayo mag-text, bigay nyo sa akin ang inyong email address at padadalang ko kayo ng kopya nito. But just as a final point on this matter, ito po ang definition ng right of self-determination. Binding as such on the United Nations as the authoritative interpretation of the Charter's norms. It states that a people, based on respect for the principle of equal rights and fair equality of opportunity, have the right to freely choose their sovereignty and international political status without interference. Ito po ang principle in the international law na tinatawag na jus cogens. Kamento.
Okay. So we are appealing to the senators to look more deeply into this and to rise above the emotionalism that has marked all these issues about the Bangsamoro and the disinformation and the victimization syndrome that the Bangsamoro leaders are trying to project. Nakaawa-awa sila. That is not true. They are wallowing in wealth, these leaders of the MILF and the communities there. Okay, let's move on to the next set of lies. Our mainstream media has a lot of lies, and many of the luminaries are really charged with the task of lying to the public. And this first image is, of course, about this some people who are liars also. Again, that's Carpio on GMA7 News discussion with Solita Monsod. The lower part is from Rappler. Opinion of Rappler, what scares me the most about China's new friendly loans? What is the truth about China's new friendly loans? Carpio in this episode kept harping on the high cost of Chinese loans, 2-3%, and why the Philippines does not get more loans from Japan because in one project, the subway train project, it's only 0.01% interest rate. Anong totoo dyan? Let's look at the next slide. In this slide, NEDA Secretary Pernia is explaining that the Philippines is securing financing from China to speed up infrastructure project. Why? Because the Japanese loan processing takes endless numbers of years. For example, projects as far back as 10 years ago have today not materialized. We will move on to show these things. Next, from Pernia again, we cannot get all the ODA loans from Japan. They have to give other countries as well. He's being diplomatic. What he's saying, they have no more funds for the Philippines because they're giving to other countries in Indonesia, Thailand, and so on. They just cannot have as much available funds as China. Philippines and Japan signs the first tranche of Metro Manila subway loan, which goes from, we were looking at it a while ago, from Mindanao Avenue. It will run from Mindanao Avenue in Quezon City through the FTI in Taguig and to the Ninoy Aquino International Airport in Parañaque. Now, what is distinctive about this? Next slide. This is a study by Aalborg University of Denmark. I researched this and I went through several, and this is the easiest to see. The comparison of capital cost per route kilometer in urban rail. Anyway, to make this long discussion short, and you can see the graphs there, on the left side, to your extreme left, let's show that, is the cost of on-grade train. Yung nasa kalsada, yung nasa lupa na train. Yung sa gitna, elevated cost. Yung nasa pinakakanan nyo sa TV screen nyo, when you're facing the TV screen, that is the subway, cost of subway construction, subway train.
Yung pinakamataas.
It is 6 times more than the on-grade train construction. At yung pinili ng Hapon ay yung pinakamahal na subway construction, which many are questioning. It is so expensive. Very few countries, except those that are in developed countries, who have a particular reason for building subways. And what is that? Nuclear shelters. So even Moscow has that. Of course, the United States, England, even during the Second World War, yun ang bomb shelters nila. But are we preparing for that? Well, we are hoping that we don't need that. Okay, tunod tayo. Typical costs for new build metros. Ground level, elevated, and underground. Again, if you're ready with that. No, is that the one? Yeah, that's the one. Okay. So now, one of the campaigns they have is to keep saying that we will be caught in a debt trap with this arrangement with China. Again, I remind you of our slide earlier in the first segment about Sri Lanka. If you the following slide there after these bilateral and multilateral. Do you see that? If not, let's just move on. Ayun, no, that's another one. Following, do you still have other slides? Yeah, there. This is the Sri Lanka slide, where I have been explaining the demolition job on Duterte's independent foreign policy and engagement with China is now focusing on the lie about Sri Lanka's debt. It is also lying about the Philippine debt with China. Okay, before we go into that last slide, let's go into this discussion. That is about Carpio's deal with Westinghouse before. We will go into that. So what is the truth? 2 to 3% ODA is a very reasonable interest rate for a very low-cost train system, which is on-grade, which is the train that will run from Manila to Bicol, one of the biggest projects with China, and all the other loans like the Chico River Dam irrigation, the Kaliwa Dam water system, the Metro Manila flood control studies being funded by AIIB in cooperation with, I think, World Bank, and well, that's what I recall. So these projects are very reliable and sensible if the interest rates is considered, and they're very, very vital for our development. The 2018 second package will involve the trains in Mindanao, the bridges that will connect Panay, Negros, and Guimaras, and many other projects. Now, what I want to repeat is that this lie about the contrast between the Japanese interest rate and the Chinese interest rate is explained by the other aspects of the project. Kaado, what are your reactions?
Well, dyan nga nagkakaroon ng disinformation and misinformation. For instance, we have this misfortune of having an on-ground train na ginawa nilang elevated. Ito ang problema po ng MRT ngayon. It is really a tram na on-ground, hindi ito talaga pang-elevated. So, nilagay nila sa taas. May mga picture kayo makikita sa internet ng the very same train na nilagay nila sa MRT pero on-ground tumatakbo sa Czechoslovakia. But having said that, talaga namang napakamahal ng mga subway kasi mahal talagang maghukay. No? Lalo na kung huhukay ka sa mga areas na may mga existing establishment na. I mean, ang panghukay po dyan, napakalaking boring machine. Na pag ginamit nyo yun, ay versus yung ginagawa. Halimbawa, nakikita nyo naman yung ginagawa ngayon, hindi nga lang siya para sa tren, ano po? para po siya sa skyway. Pero nakikita nyo naman, above ground, nilalagay nila yung mga poste at napakagaling ng AEI, napakagaling ng DMCI, in record time, tapos na yan, and mabilis takbo. Pero kung ikaw ay magbubutas pa, tapos babalutan mo pa yan ng simento and whatever, sinisimplify ko na lang po, doble gastos. Sa equipment pa lang, talagang napakalaki. Ngayon, bakit kailangan yan na above ground or below ground? Nakikita ko naman dito na ilalayan ng from Mindanao Avenue, papunta riyan sa C5 at lalabas ng NAIA, pwede naman mag-above ground dyan Dahil yan po ang linya ng C5. No? Bakit kailangan sa ilalim pa?
At saka mas mura magtayo ng tulay, flyover,
Correct.
over the rail, rather than having all the rail under or over.
Or over.
Now, kung may yung elevated train, merong roll, kung the real estate conditions and other things are problematic, but subway talagang 6 times more expensive. And we are not sure if it is just 6 times more expensive. We don't see any bidding for that project.
Ngayon, ang sinasabi nila is tungkol sa interes. Nilalayo nila ang usapan tungkol dun sa principal na hiniram. Yung buong cost ng project. So, dun sila nagbubutiti sa mga small percentages, kinukumpare nila, pero ito, ang cost ito, ganyan lang, ang cost ng kabilang ganoon. Very clear po sa chart.
Yeah. And now, this last slide I bring up just to show you the record of Mr. Carpio. In the Westinghouse Bataan Nuclear Power Plant deal, which grew from $600 million to $2.2 billion US dollars, the Philippines continued to be paying 30 years after the loan was contracted and the project was closed down. But Carpio was the one among those who negotiated this. And Carpio said the $100 million deal it reached with Westinghouse was the best Manila could get. The Bureau of Treasury said the Philippines had been paying $326,000 in interest daily for the loan it obtained to build the nuclear plant, which was completed in 1985 but mothballed the following year. So, who is he now to talk about these loans he alleges will entrap the Philippines? He has been one of those who gave us a raw deal with Westinghouse. So anyway, we hope you will be able to study these things with some of the other facts we provided you, and let us keep reasonable, rational, and fair understanding of what President Duterte and his infrastructure build program is trying to achieve with the help of Chinese loan packages. Kaado, anything to finally wrap up this discussion?
Well, not really about the RP China loans, no, but going back to the BBL.
You have 1 minute.
Since we are wrapping this up, ang simple lamang po ito Simple lamang po ito. Meron namang mga issues na talaga ang constitutional dyan. Sabi ni Presidente Duterte mismo, he believes it's against the Constitution, pero ang fear ni Presidente Duterte ay pag hindi natin to ipinasa, ay baka raw magkagera. Well, mabuti na hong magkagera kesa sa mabalkanize naman ang ating Republika ng Pilipinas.
At kung hindi ngayon magkagulo, mas malaking gulo.
Mas malaking gulo ang pupuntahan. Sawan-sawa na po dapat tayo pakikiusap dito sa mga proxy armies ng Malaysia. Una, ang Moro National Liberation Front at pangalawa, ang Moro Islamic Liberation Front. Napakababaw ng history nila. Balikan natin ang ating kasaysayan as far back as the Sultanate of Sulu, and I challenge you because you will discover that the real solution is not with these proxy armies but with our rich heritage of noble peoples even before the arrival of the Spanish into this country.
Okay, like the Sultanate of Sulu.
Like the
who has,
Sultanate of Sulu.
integrated with our political polity. Anyway, we have run out of time. Maraming salamat po and have a good weekend.